Hi everyone. Now let's discuss Topic 7 of Unit 4, Chain of Custody and Evidence Handling. The chain of custody refers to the documented process of maintaining and tracking digital evidence from the time it is collected until it is presented in court. It ensures that the evidence remains authentic, untampered, and legally admissible. In simple words, it's like keeping a logbook that shows who handled the evidence, when, where, and how to prove it was never altered. Proper evidence handling is equally important. Digital evidence is fragile and can be easily modified or lost. Secure handling, preservation methods like write blockers, tamper-proof containers, and accurate documentation protect the integrity of the evidence. The main aspects include collection, seizing and documenting digital evidence properly; preservation, preventing tampering or data alteration using secure tools; documentation, maintaining detailed records of every step in handling; transfer and storage, using tamper-evident containers and secure storage facilities; presentation, submitting credible and admissible evidence in court. This process is crucial because even strong digital evidence can be rejected in court if the chain of custody is broken. 2-mark questions. What is chain of custody in cyber forensics? Why is evidence handling important? Give one example of digital evidence. Name 2 key components of chain of custody. What is the purpose of tamper-evident containers in evidence handling? 5 10-mark questions. Explain the concept of chain of custody and its importance in cyber forensic investigations. Describe the steps involved in proper evidence handling in digital forensics. Discuss the role of documentation in chain of custody. Explain the challenges faced in maintaining chain of custody for digital evidence. Illustrate with an example how improper chain of custody can affect a cyber forensic investigation. Introduction to chain of custody and evidence handling. In digital forensics and cybersecurity investigations, evidence is only useful if it is authentic, reliable, and legally admissible. This means that investigators must carefully manage how evidence is collected, stored, and analyzed. 2 critical concepts ensure this integrity: chain of custody, COCI, and evidence handling. Chain of custody, COCI, is a formal, chronological record that documents every individual who has handled the evidence, from the moment it is collected until it is presented in court. This includes who collected it, when it was transferred, where it was stored, and who accessed it. Maintaining a proper COCI ensures that the evidence has not been tampered with or altered. For example, if a forensic investigator seizes a suspect's laptop in a hacking case, they would log the seizure date, time, and condition of the device. Each time the laptop is accessed for analysis, it must be recorded in the COCI to prove authenticity in legal proceedings. Evidence handling refers to the procedures used to collect, preserve, transport, and store evidence without compromising it. Proper handling prevents accidental modification or loss of data. For digital evidence, this includes creating forensic images of hard drives using write blockers, storing devices in anti-static and tamper-evident bags, and maintaining secure access logs. For physical evidence, it could mean sealing storage devices in tamper-proof containers and controlling environmental conditions. For example, if an external hard drive containing confidential company data is seized during a corporate fraud investigation, it should not be powered on directly. Instead, a forensic copy should be made to avoid changing file metadata, while the original is safely stored and logged. Together, chain of custody and proper evidence handling provide the legal and technical foundation for ensuring that evidence remains credible, unaltered, and defensible in court. Without these procedures, even valid evidence could be challenged or dismissed in legal proceedings. Importance of chain of custody. The chain of custody, COCI, is a fundamental principle in digital forensics that ensures evidence is legally admissible, authentic, and reliable. Without it, even strong evidence can be challenged or dismissed in court. Legal admissibility. Courts require proof that evidence has been collected, preserved, and handled without tampering. COCI provides documented proof of this process. For example, if a hacker's hard drive is seized during a cybercrime investigation, COCI records the date, time, and person who collected it. Later, if presented in court, the documentation proves that the evidence has not been altered. Integrity of evidence. COSI ensures that the evidence remains in its original state, maintaining authenticity and reliability. For digital evidence, this often involves creating forensic images using write blockers so the original data is untouched. For instance, if a forensic investigator copies a suspect's USB drive using a write blocker and logs the action in COSI, it preserves the original file's integrity. Accountability. COSI tracks every individual who has handled the evidence, making them accountable for its security and handling. For example, if multiple investigators access a seized laptop, each person logs their name, role, date, and purpose of access. This prevents unauthorized handling and maintains responsibility. Audit trail. COSI provides a transparent record of evidence movement and handling, which can be reviewed during internal audits or court proceedings. If logs are missing or incomplete, the evidence may be considered compromised. For example, in a case where a stolen company database is investigated, missing COSI entries for the hard drive could result in the evidence being rejected. In summary, the chain of custody is essential to maintain the legal, technical, and procedural credibility of evidence. It safeguards the investigation process, prevents disputes over tampering, and ensures courts can rely on the findings. Key components of chain of custody. Detailed explanation with examples. The chain of custody, COSI, ensures that evidence is tracked, preserved, and handled correctly throughout a forensic investigation. Each component plays a vital role in maintaining evidence integrity and legal admissibility. 1. Evidence identification. Every piece of evidence must be uniquely labeled with an ID or code. Detailed information such as the date, time, location of seizure, type of evidence, and case reference should be recorded. For example, if a suspect's laptop is seized, it might be tagged as case 123_laptop_01, along with notes on the seizure location and officer name. This prevents mix-ups with other evidence. 2. Evidence collection. Standardized procedures are followed to avoid contamination or alteration. For digital evidence, investigators create forensic copies or bit-by-bit clones using write blockers to ensure the original data remains intact. For example, when copying a USB drive containing confidential emails, a forensic image is created and verified with a hash value to ensure accuracy. 3. Evidence preservation. Evidence must be stored securely to prevent tampering, damage, or environmental harm. Digital devices should be kept in tamper-evident bags and protected from humidity, magnetic fields, or extreme temperatures. Physical evidence like printed documents might be stored in locked cabinets. For instance, a seized hard drive is sealed in an anti-static bag and placed in a locked evidence locker. 4. Evidence transfer. Every time evidence changes hands, the transfer must be documented with signatures, dates, and timestamps. This ensures accountability. For example, if the forensic analyst receives a hard drive from the seizure officer, both sign a transfer form, noting the date and purpose of access. 5. Evidence analysis. Only authorized personnel should access the evidence. For digital items, write-protected tools must be used to avoid altering original data. For example, a forensic investigator examining a suspect's laptop uses a read-only forensic image, ensuring the original system remains untouched. 6. Evidence documentation. All actions taken with the evidence must be logged, including collection, transfer, analysis, or any storage changes. These logs form the official record that courts rely on. For instance, a forensic report might include a table showing who accessed a hard drive, at what time, and for what purpose, along with hash values for verification. Example scenario: in a phishing investigation, an employee's compromised email account is investigated. The email logs are identified, tagged with a case ID, cloned to a forensic image, stored in a secure evidence locker, transferred to an analyst with proper signatures, examined using a read-only tool, and fully documented. This ensures the evidence can be used in court without dispute. Steps in evidence handling. Evidence handling is a critical part of digital forensics to ensure that evidence remains intact, authentic, and legally admissible. Each step is designed to maintain the integrity of the evidence throughout the investigation process. 1. Identification. The first step is to recognize potential evidence at the crime scene or in an investigation. This includes devices like computers, USB drives, mobile phones, or network logs that might contain relevant information. For example, if an office computer shows signs of malware infection, the investigator identifies connected USB drives or suspicious files as potential evidence. 2. Collection. Evidence must be collected carefully to avoid any modification or contamination. For digital evidence, investigators often use forensic tools or write blockers to prevent accidental changes. For example, a USB drive found at the scene is removed without plugging it into a live system to avoid triggering malware or altering timestamps. 3. Labeling and tagging. Every piece of evidence is assigned a unique identifier, and details like the date, time, location, and case reference are recorded. This prevents mix-ups and ensures traceability. For instance, the USB drive might be labeled as case 2025_USB_01, with notes on who collected it and where it was found. 4. Transportation. Evidence must be transported securely to a forensic lab. Physical security measures, tamper-evident bags, and secure containers are used to protect the evidence during transit. For example, the tagged USB drive is placed in a sealed anti-static bag and carried by the investigator in a locked case. 5. Storage. Once in the lab, evidence is stored in secure locations with access logs to maintain accountability. Only authorized personnel can access it. For example, the USB drive is stored in a locked cabinet, and a digital log records every person who opens it. 6. Analysis. Forensic analysis is performed on copies of the original evidence to avoid altering it. Investigators use specialized tools to examine data, recover deleted files, and detect malware. For example, a forensic image of the USB drive is analyzed for malicious scripts or hidden files, while the original drive remains untouched. 7. Presentation. The final step is presenting the findings in court with full documentation of the chain of custody. Reports detail what evidence was collected, how it was handled, and the conclusions drawn. For example, the forensic report includes the USB drive's label, hash values verifying the copy's integrity, analysis results, and a log of everyone who handled the device. Example scenario. A USB drive containing malware is found connected to an office computer. The investigator identifies it as evidence, collects it using a write blocker, labels it as case 2025_USB_01, transports it securely, stores it in a locked evidence cabinet, analyzes a forensic copy, and finally presents the findings in court with full chain of custody documentation. This systematic process ensures that evidence remains credible, admissible, and reliable in legal proceedings. Best practices, real-world examples, and challenges in chain of custody. Maintaining a proper chain of custody, COCI, is crucial in digital forensics to ensure that evidence remains authentic, reliable, and legally admissible. Here's a clear explanation for students. Best practices. Use tamper-evident bags or containers. Always store physical evidence, like hard drives or USB drives, in sealed bags that show any signs of tampering. Example. A seized USB drive is placed in a sealed anti-static bag with a unique label to prevent unauthorized access. Maintain detailed logs and signatures. Document every transfer of evidence, including who handled it when and why. This ensures accountability. Example. When the USB drive moves from the crime scene to the lab, both the collector and lab personnel sign the log with date and time. Digital backups and hashing. Create forensic copies of digital evidence and calculate hash values, MD5/SHA-256, to verify integrity. Example, before analyzing a hard drive, a forensic image is made and hashed. Any change during analysis can be detected by comparing hashes. Limit access to authorized personnel. Only investigators or authorized staff should handle evidence. Unauthorized access can compromise the case. Example, access to server logs is restricted to forensic team members with digital authentication. Do not alter evidence. Never modify original evidence. Always work on copies to preserve the integrity. Example, Investigators analyze a cloned copy of a malware-infected USB, leaving the original untouched. Real-world examples. Sony Pictures hack, 2014. During the investigation, digital evidence from servers and compromised accounts had to follow strict COSI procedures. Proper documentation helped authorities trace the attackers without the evidence being challenged in court. Ransomware incidents. Forensic teams make copies of infected drives to analyze malware behavior while preserving the original evidence for potential legal or insurance claims. Hashing ensures that original data is not altered during the investigation. Challenges in chain of custody. Accidental alteration or corruption. Improper handling can unintentionally modify files or overwrite data. Example: opening a suspect's system without write blockers may change timestamps. Misplacement or loss during transfer. Physical or digital evidence may get lost if not carefully tracked. Example: a USB drive gets misplaced during transport between the office and lab. Unauthorized access. If someone without permission handles the evidence, it can be questioned in court. Example: a technician accessing evidence without logging in the COSI records. Incomplete or inaccurate documentation. Missing logs or signatures weaken credibility of evidence. Example: failing to note who collected a hard drive can result in the evidence being rejected in court. Volatility of digital evidence. RAM, cache, or network logs may disappear quickly, requiring immediate action. Example: capturing live network packets before shutdown is essential. Otherwise, critical information is lost. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe.